Hello everyone and welcome back to another Will Cinematics video. Today I'm reviewing Disney's new movie Raya and the Last Dragon. First off, I have to say that I literally have no words to describe this movie. It's just so epic. First off, Kelly Marie Tran is perfect as Raya and Awkwafina is perfect as Sisu. So if you couldn't already tell, I love this movie. It is literally amazing. So here's a rundown of the plot. So basically the story starts off with what looks like a 13-year-old, 12-year-old Raya, and she's training to guard the dragon gem. She proves herself while fighting her dad, who also happens to be like the chief of her community. Then we see these like 5 different like tribes meet at the heart, which is where Raya lives. Like each tribe is named after a different heart. So the heart has the dragon gem, and all the other tribes are like super jealous because they think the dragon gem has power. Raya meets Namaari and they become friends. Namaari is like a rival tribe. Then Raya leads Namaari to the hidden gem to like show her how cool it is, and Namaari brings everyone to like come collect it for their tribe. All different tribes try to get it, and then it breaks. Once it breaks, they all take different pieces of the gem across the world, and then the world around them starts to like fall apart due to the Droon. So the Droon are these like purple evil clouds that turn people to stone. We actually, even after the movie, still don't know much about them, more they've like always existed and they're like fed by human hate. Something to note is that everyone who gets turned to stone ends up in this like position with their hands cupped, which I thought was very interesting. Every part of Kumandra, the parts are heart, spine, fang, talon, and tail. Like every single part of Kumandra takes pieces of the gem. Raya feels betrayed, and her father and many people across Kumandra are turned to stone. Also, something to note is that the gems send off against the Droon, so if you like hold a gem up to the Droon, this like cloud Droon thing that like turns people to stone will just like move away. It'll move back. It's like scared of the gem. Then there's a 6-year skip to present day Raya. She's riding a now giant tuk-tuk and heading towards Hale, where Sisu is rumored to be. And also tuk-tuk is so adorable. It's so cute. I love tuk-tuk already. And she has this really cool like prayer thing, like this chant, and then she summons Sisu, and it actually works. Like she's been searching for 6 years. So then her and Sisu head towards the Tail's gem, and they find it and are almost successful when Namaari shows up. Namaari is also much older now. Sisu and Raya escaped like a boat. Also, we find out that when Sisu touches the stone, she gains one of her siblings' powers, so now she has the power to like become human since she like touched the new pieces of stone. Also, Sisu is hilarious. She reminds me of Genie kind of. She's just really funny and relatable. They escape to this boat and they meet this young boy, and the 3 of them end up heading to the town together. He like operates the boat. There, Raya meets this very cute Khan baby and her monkey companions. While she's like away off in like the marketplace, Sisu leaves the boat that they're staying on and goes in search of the town gem. She instead almost like dies when this old woman who had the gem threw Sisu out to get like eaten by the Droon. Raya shows up just in time and they escape using Sisu's new mist power from the new gem piece. They head back to the boat with the Khan baby and the monkeys and head towards the spine, which is another one of the lands. Raya and Sisu get captured by this big guy named Tong. He reveals that all the spine have been turned to stone but him, and it's like actually really sad. Like this part was like actually kind of moving. Raya fights Namaari, who's been chasing them like non-stop on their quest. This movie has really cool fight scenes, by the way. Like I just noticed that like all the fight scenes, like it felt they were so good that it didn't feel like a Disney movie. It felt like something totally new. Anyways, he joins them too, and now they have all parts except for the one from Fang. Fang is the community that Namaari is from, and they're kind of avoiding that because Namaari is trying to like get them. So they have all parts except that one. So when they get to Fang to collect it, Raya listens to Sisu and decides to trust Namaari because Raya is very untrustworthy since what happened. So Sisu's been trying to like get her to open up and be like, trust people around you because like you don't know, like people are inherently good. Namaari brings up Fang's piece of the gem, but instead of handing it over, she tries to force Sisu to come with her. In an accident involving Namaari's trigger finger and Raya's sword, Sisu gets hit by this crossbow arrow and dies. The water dries up along with the last dragon because Sisu is the last, like literal last dragon. The Droon moves in and takes over the Fang. The Fang had like a canal protecting them, and that canal is gone because there's no water. And the Droon like fear water. Tons of people turn to stone while Raya and Namaari fight. Also, I may or may not ship them. They just have a lot of like really sweet energy, and I could low-key see Disney going in that direction. Anyways, they make up after fighting, and the group gets trapped by the Droon. Like they evacuate the city, and then they all get trapped together and like are surrounded by the Droon. Each of them are holding a piece so they can stay safe. Then Raya listens to what Sisu has been telling her this whole time about trust. Since her trust being broken in the beginning, Raya hasn't trusted anyone, like at all. She hasn't let anyone in. And she can't open her heart for fear of someone breaking that trust. Sisu tells her people aren't as bad as they seem and that faith in someone makes all the difference. After some contemplation, Raya gives her cut of the gem to Namari and says, "I'm taking the first step." Which I think is all too relevant today in our like political discord situation going on in the US. The whole idea of taking the first step towards unity really felt that. Anyways, she turns to stone now that she's lost her protection from the gem and like ends up in that position. The others follow suit and give theirs to Namari, and Namari puts the gems together to create the original dragon gem. With this, she turns to stone as well. Also, I have to say, them turning to stone was both sad and very beautiful. Just like how they set it up and how they're sitting together almost like a little family. It just looks so beautiful. Also, I have to say, this movie has some of the best animation I've ever seen. There's one scene with a tree in it. It's just a simple tree in the background, and it looked like a real tree. Honestly, it really showed us what they could do with Frozen 2, and then this went even further. Like, I couldn't believe they could go past the threshold of Frozen 2 where they had people's reflections in people's like irises and like puddles with reflections in them and that kind of a very enhanced detailed animation. And they went a step further for this, and I love it. Also, this movie is all about water being the key to life, and it's very interesting because it connects a lot to Frozen 2. I know I keep bringing up Frozen 2, but with the whole like water being the key to everything, having memory and stuff, but this movie has got that like Asian background to it. It makes like water and dragons and like dragons being rivers and that sort of like mythology very relevant. And I feel like they tied that into a movie really well without making it like culture offensive anyway, because they made it like their own culture. Like they're not copying like Indian culture or like Mongolian culture or like Thai culture. Like they made their own, and I really like that. Not only that, but they're showing us some darker Asian people. I'm a black person, so I don't know too much about Asian representation in the media. But what I do know is that I've seen that in the media, if anyone's Asian, they're always very light and they're always Eastern Asian. So like Chinese, Japanese, that area. And South Asian people get like zero to no representation except in Indian people and Indian actors and whatnot. And those roles are already so small. So it was really nice to see some more South Asian representation in this movie. Anyways, back to the plot that I was talking about. So because they all had faith in one another, the stone does its job and this big blue light spreads across Kumandra. With that, the water gets restored and all the dragons return, which is crazy. And I guess the first time 500 years before Raya had her whole thing at like age 13 where the stone got split up. 500 years before that, Sisu used the stone, which was a combination of all her siblings' power, to drive away the Droon, and it turned everyone back, but it didn't work on the dragons. It turned all the people back from stone, but the dragon was still stuck as stone. Wait 1 second. I know Kumandra's made up and only inspired by South Asian culture, but what if the Great Stone Dragon from Mulan is one of these dragons? That would literally be epic, and that's why you can't like wake it up yet. Anyways, the dragons return beautifully, and there's like no dialogue. None of the dragons speak. They kind of like nod, and like I think I've heard a couple like or something from like a dragon or two. But it was mostly them just like flying around and Sisu like yelling and screaming and stuff. But it's nice they didn't give the dragons actors yet. Raya definitely has the potential for a sequel, like hands down. Like if they can get a sequel out of Frozen, which was like honestly a pretty straightforward plot, then something this like complex with this sort of like lore, you could definitely get a sequel out of it. I'm very excited. After the dragons return, they bring back Sisu and everything is good again because Sisu was still dead and they like brought her back. And it's really cool. They made this like pattern, which I feel like they're gonna bring up again in like a sequel if they make a sequel. They made this really cool pattern and like Sisu rises out of the water and like comes back to life. Also, I have to say that they made Sisu's face, like her dragon face, so beautiful. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that really catches your eye. So like for example, in Spirited Away, there's a dragon that's a river named Haku. Also I love that movie, I'll review it sometime. Anyways, I love that movie, but I always thought the dragon's eyes in that were very cold, and that was kind of like the point. But in this, Sisu's face, like there are a couple moments where they like emphasize that, where they show her like staring into someone's eyes. Like for example, Namari, who's been having her doubts the whole movie about trusting Sisu and trusting Raya again and actually listening to them. There's one moment when Sisu shows up and she sees her as a dragon because she's been hiding as a person since Raya found her. Namari like looks into her eyes and you see them like her like I think Sisu like tilts her head and her eyes get bigger, and like the eyes just look so like real and full of life. So much so that like I felt it. You know, that's how amazing it was. But yeah, they like really emphasize that, and her face is just a really beautiful dragon face. Then we watch all the characters return home, and Raya sees her father again for the first time in 6 years. He looked really surprised, like that she'd gotten older and it had been that long. Then Sisu shows up at the heart with tons of people from all the different lands, the Talon, the Fang, whatever. They all show up together, and they all like rejoice and become like one Kumandra, or at least are starting to like reconstruct Kumandra. And that's how it ends. This movie was incredible. The animation is some of the best I've ever seen. The story was also amazing. I love this movie, and it is now dear to my heart. I also love the message about unity. Now it takes a lot of trust. If I had one criticism, and it's a very, very small criticism, I love all the fight scenes so much. I just wish the environments they're happening in were just a little more bizarre and less normal. I'm not saying the decision they chose was a bad one. It was a good one. It was fine. But like 2 or 3 fight scenes are like in this like desert area and like in this like palace. And it looks cool at times, but like I just wish there was like, I think they could do so much with the environment they've created. Anyways, here's my rating. So for main character, I said 9 out of 10 because Raya's a great main character. I definitely liked her personality, and Kelly Marie Tran played her really well. Supporting characters said 8 out of 10 because they're like a fun little group and I really enjoy like their journey. And for love interest, I said 7 out of 10 because I'm considering Namari her love interest, and she's written pretty well. The animation, I said 9 out of 10 because I love the animation so much. It's just so, it flows really well. For ending, I said 9 out of 10 because I just love the ending. Villains, I said 6 out of 10 because I just felt like the motives were a little, like they made sense, but there wasn't really a true villain per se. Score, I said 9 out of 10 because the score was really good and really had a lot of culture to it. And message, I said 10 out of 10 because I love this message, so now it has an overall score of 9.5 out of 10. If you haven't seen this, please go watch it. I know it's very expensive. If you can find, like, I don't know, if you think they're safe, if you can find a pirating site, do that because I'm sure it's on there. But it's honestly worth the $30. It is. It really is. It's definitely worth it. Yeah, please go watch it like right now because it's definitely worth your time. Anyways, that's it. Let me know what you think of my review, and as always, remember to like and subscribe.